It was announced today that there was a groundbreaking legal settlement between the National Association of Realtors and the courts in their case around antitrust issues when you're looking at the commissions being paid when selling your home here in the United States. We're going to take a look at this piece from the Wall Street Journal because this is really important. If you have ever bought or sold a home, this was something that impacted you then. And if you ever plan on buying or selling a home in the future here in the US, this will have an impact and could potentially save you thousands of dollars. We'll dive into it, but if we haven't met before, my name's Frank Cho. I'm here to help you live a richer life. On this channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, personal finance, and investing. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, do it now. That way I can keep you informed of all the latest news and updates. Let's take a look at the Wall Street Journal's version of this news. So, this has been everywhere today, CNN, other media outlets, but I like the piece here on the Wall Street Journal, so we'll dive into it here. So, a $418 million legal settlement is poised to change how Americans buy and sell their homes. So, the National Association of Realtors reached a nationwide settlement of claims that the real estate industry's been conspiring to keep agent commissions high, it said today, Friday, March the 15th. A deal like this is set to usher in the biggest changes in how Americans buy and sell their homes in decades. I saw one of the quotes on this earlier said, "This is the biggest impact to the real estate industry in the last 50 years." So the $418 million settlement is going to make it easier for home buyers to negotiate fees with their own agents and could lead more borrowers to forgo using agents altogether, which has the potential to drive down commission rates and force hundreds of thousands of agents out of the industry. This could be a big impact, driving out low performing agents and consolidating business within this industry. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. The National Association of Realtors agreed to abandon their long-standing industry rules that required most home sale listings to include an upfront offer telling buyers' agents how much they will get paid. Under a system in place for a generation, sellers have typically set buyers' agents' fees. Consumer advocates say the arrangement prevented buyers from negotiating to save money and kept commissions in the US higher than in most of the world. The association said the current model helps buyers benefit from an agent's advice, even if they can't afford to pay an agent out of pocket, since the fees are being paid by the seller. If the settlement's approved by the court, listings of homes for sale in most parts of the country would no longer include upfront offers to buyers' agents starting as soon as mid July, and buyers would have the ability to negotiate compensation upfront with their agents if they choose to use one. The settlement money will be distributed to recent home sellers nationwide. Buyers are going to be more likely to be more price conscious when selecting an agent and might opt to save money by not using an agent at all or by paying their agent a smaller fixed fee in exchange for limited services as opposed to the percentage of the sale transaction type fees that we've seen up to this point. A buyer could pay an agent to put together an offer, review an inspection report, but not accompany them on home tours, as an example. The agreement is the answer to months of uncertainty and mounting legal threats to the residential real estate industry. The National Association of Realtors is one of the nation's most powerful trade groups and has been facing crippling antitrust liability since a Kansas City, Missouri jury delivered a $1.8 billion verdict against them and two national brokerages back in October. And we even mentioned that here way back then. The jury found that industry rules for how buyers' agents were paid are keeping commission rates artificially high. That case and others like it were filed by home sellers who argued they paid inflated costs that they shouldn't have had to. This settlement will resolve wide-ranging legal exposure for the industry, which has been facing a series of antitrust suits similar to that case in Kansas City. Separate litigation in Chicago, which appeared headed for trial later this year, could have threatened damages of more than $40 billion. State and local realtor associations, some brokerage firms, and realtor-owned multiple listing services are covered by this agreement. Buyers were cut out pretty much entirely from negotiating commissions, and I think this will invite them under that tent, said Benjamin Brown, co chair of antitrust practice at Cohen Milstein, one of the firms representing plaintiffs in the Chicago case. The interim CEO of the National Association of Realtors said that they had worked hard for years to resolve this litigation in a manner that benefits our members and American consumers. It's always been our goal to preserve consumer choice and protect our members to the greatest extent possible, they say. But take that with a grain of salt, since they are facing these tens and hundreds of millions of dollars of penalties, as well as all these lawsuits that have rolled out over the years. They were at risk of bankruptcy had these troubles continued. Leadership made a series of decisions over the past year that prompted blowback from some industry leaders, including refusing to compromise its rules earlier and gambling that it could win in this litigation. The cost of the deal, which they'll pay over 4 years, is significant for the association. The NAR had about $23 million in net income and nearly $750 million in net assets in 2022, according to a recent tax filing. They continue to deny any wrongdoing. But the rule changes make the industry newly vulnerable to the forces of technological change. This is really impactful because fees for travel agents and stockbrokers have been driven down. Think about the trading platforms that are out there that offer no commissions. The standard commission for real estate agents is 5 to 6% of the purchase price, which gets split between the seller's agent and the buyer's agent, and that's among the highest in the world when you look at commissions for real estate transactions. The changes also require many real estate agents that work with buyers to sign agreements with their clients about what services they will provide and how much they're going to be paid. If fewer buyers use their own agents, that could push some agents out of the industry and lead to a decline in the National Association of Realtors' membership. They have 1.5 million members known as Realtors. They have to be a member to use that title. Ryan Tomasello, a real estate industry analyst, predicted the lawsuits could eventually lead to a 30% reduction in the $100 billion that Americans pay annually in real estate commissions and reduce realtor headcount by more than half. The new structure could pose challenges for first-time buyers and others who are struggling to save for a down payment, though, because the buyer's agent's commission was long baked into the selling price, and the buyer was able to finance that cost over the length of the mortgage by having it as part of the closing costs that were rolled in. But going forward, sellers can still offer to compensate buyer's agents, but in most markets, they won't be able to put those offers in the actual listing. If buyers don't want to pay for their agents out of pocket, they could come to the table and ask the seller to cover the cost of the buyer's agent. Sellers are less likely to agree to that when it's a hot housing market, though, and they have more leverage. It's possible that little changes for consumers in the near term because many sellers are used to including the cost of the buyer's agent in their sales price, but over time, new brokerage business models could emerge that make it easier for buyers to choose low-cost options. And certainly, innovation and technological change can provide opportunities to drive cost out of here, like we've seen happen with stock brokerages, for instance, and the reduction in fees and transaction costs that we've seen over the past few years with Robinhood and Webull and all these other entities that have popped up. In recent years, well-funded disruptors such as British-based Purplebricks and Rex, which was co-founded by a longtime Goldman Sachs partner, have all floundered. Executives at those firms said industry rules made it difficult for them to thrive. Sellers were fearful of offering buyers agents a lower commission, lest those agents steer clients away from their homes. Buyers had little incentive to use a lower cost firm when they didn't see the savings for themselves directly. I never think this is going to be a perfectly priced competitive market, said a senior fellow at the Consumer Federation of America, but under the current system, it wasn't competitive at all. While the deal resolves the most daunting threat to the National Association of Realtors' survival, its troubles are far from over, and some industry executives are furious with the association's top ranks for putting itself in a position where it was forced to negotiate a settlement from a position of weakness. This settlement doesn't cover Home Services of America, a subsidiary of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, which is the final defendant in the Kansas City case that decided not to settle. They intend to vigorously appeal on multiple grounds the jury's findings and damage award, said Berkshire Hathaway in their annual report, which is interesting because obviously with Buffett's support, they have billions at hand to fight against this. Anywhere Real Estate and RE/MAX settled the claims in this case before the Kansas City trial for about $140 million combined. Keller Williams reached a $70 million settlement in February. So really interesting things happening in the real estate industry. We're certainly seeing change, and this could be a very good thing for people in the market to buy or sell their real estate, and certainly for consumers who are trying to save money on one of the biggest transactions that happens throughout the course of their life. And maybe you buy or sell real estate only a couple times in a lifetime, and you certainly want to save the thousands that are on the table here. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Will this benefit consumers, or will there be further litigation as we've seen here with well-funded sources like Home Services of America fighting back? I'm curious to know what you think. As always, drop a like if you found any value here. Hit that subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on all of the latest news. I've got some exciting things coming up in the channel with new topics that we'll be discussing. Don't forget to check out the sponsor of this video, Performax, which helps you get in shape for the summer. I'll link it down in the video description. We'll talk about it more in future videos, but excited to be partnering with them. Thank you so much for spending some time here with me. I do truly appreciate it. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.